This video segment discusses the business model in the context of strategy. What we want to know is if our strategies that we're using are delivering bottom line results, and that is, are they profitable? And we can usually only know this either by creating a pro forma statement or during a strategy evaluation, evaluating whether these strategies were effective or not from a financial perspective. This is very, very important. We're going to use the Ford Motor Company and their most recent annual report to go through the business strategies and business model of Ford Motor Company to see if indeed they are successful. So starting with their most recent annual report, the 2011 report has not come out yet. You can take a look at some of the strategies that Ford has implemented over the years. And while this statement here talks about a number of initiatives, I think one of the most important parts is that it talks about this plan where they're trying to balance their cost structure out with their revenues, which is critically important because in the past, Ford's Achilles heel has been a cost structure that's been too high. So we could say that strategy number one, being simplistic. I'm sorry for some of these graphics might be blinking at you because we're using QuickTime. The second strategy of Ford that I found from this annual report is you can see that its focus is on various models, and more importantly, its focus is on different parts of the world, giving a heavier emphasis to the Asia Pacific African region now, which is where we think the higher growth is going to be. The smaller cars, which is a change of strategy for Ford over the last several years, and of course they're looking at the business model, or so they say. Now, it's interesting to look at the business model in the context of small cars because their small car offerings are some cars that you've seen, maybe some cars that you have not seen, and if you've not seen them, it's because they might be available only in foreign markets. But clearly there is a very strong initiative on the small car market. Furthermore, when you examine Ford's strategies in the SUV business, which is a very big business in the United States and several other emerging economies as well, you can see that they have expanded their models, but in addition have added some new styling, fuel economy, and technological innovation to these models that hopefully make them more attractive to not only the United States market, but to other markets as well. Another very important strategy that Ford has undertaken in the recent past is that they, like a number of other automobile manufacturers, have really put a heavy emphasis on technology for the user in the automobile. This is seemingly very, very important to the customer when making their buying decision, and this details some of Ford's efforts in that area. And then the last strategy I want to look at is that of what I think Ford deems to be most important, and that is in its global focus. Ford has big plans for India, China, etc., so it says, and you can read through here. If you'd like to download the 2010 annual report, please feel free to do so. There's a lot of information in here regarding where Ford thinks they're going, and more importantly, where they've been. But they see that 70% of their growth in the next 10 years is going to come from Asia Pacific and Africa, hence their heavy reliance or focus on those markets. And in addition, they're also looking at some of these markets, say for example China, Thailand, etc., for manufacturing some components of their automobiles, and the reason for this, of course, is to drive down the cost. They're sourcing out the cost to get it lower. And again, I said at the very onset of this video that one of Ford's first jobs is to get that cost structure down because it's been killing their margins in the past, and margins are what the business model is really all about. The last thing I want to look at here is that of the electric car segment, and indeed they have a lot of business initiatives and strategies going on worldwide with respect to electric cars, and electric cars they only think in the automobile industry are just going to become bigger and bigger and bigger in the first one to get to a great battery technology will probably have the first mover advantage in moving this forward and taking major market share. So I've outlined some strategies here about the lowering of the cost structure for Ford, the scaled down smaller models, the foreign segments they're looking at, the technologies, especially in the SUVs, the focus on foreign markets for sales growth, and also for sourcing manufacturing to drive down costs. Those are all seemingly very plausible strategies, but what you want to know is, are these strategies helpful? These are strategies that Ford has been undertaking for several years. They're contained in the 2009 and 2008 annual report. It's nothing that's brand new for Ford. But here's the bottom line. It's in this table right here with respect to net income. Okay, and so while most of us know that 2006 and beyond that, before that, were unsuccessful years for Ford. In other words, their business model failed, losing $12 billion. But over time, that decrease or loss of net income has turned into a positive gain with 2010, and from what I understand, early reports in 2011 had been very successful as well. So we could close this video segment by saying that Ford has initiated a number of strategies, and some mixture of those strategies seem to be effective, because you can look at the business model, and the business model is really focused right on this line right here, the net income. It's gone from negative to positive. So it looks like some of the initiatives that Ford has undertaken of late have been successful.